Hi, welcome to Saturday Solution. We're in the third grade this week. Let's take a look at the problem. So this is what we posted yesterday. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's not a hard problem. And you're right, it's not a hard problem. But here's what's going on here. We're not really talking about the problem as much as we are talking about the notation. So like in a reading lesson, where when you're introducing a reading skill, you know how you use a picture book, older grades, so that you can alleviate the brain so you can focus on the skill. Or you use content that kids already know to alleviate the brain to focus on the skill. That's what we're doing here. This isn't a difficult problem. And your kids are going to look at it and go, easy. And they're going to just solve it right away. But that's not the richness. The richness is talking about this and why this is here and why is this, but look at this. You're looking at the differences so that you can really lay a foundation for decimals. So that's what you're doing in this problem, is you're talking about how this decimal is a part of a whole. But you're doing it informally through the use of money. Third grade teachers, we love you. Let me tell you from an SEL standpoint why this is so important. In kindergarten, first and second grade, we are planting seeds for what kids think of themselves as learners. They haven't really become fully cognitive yet of who they are as a learner. But by third grade, that plant is going to start to sprout. And they look around and they look at how it's easier for other kids. And they always get the right answer, but why don't I get the right answer? And they begin this cognitive comparison. That plant grows, and by fifth grade, you either have a child who's labeled themselves as someone who can learn, or a child who's labeled themselves as someone who cannot, which is why it's so important that we're talking about the emotions of learning in these grades before we get to middle school, where it's completely solidified. So let's go back to this notion of the problem that we're doing. Remember, kids learn concrete, pictures, then abstract, in that order. So if you have a child who's looking at this and they're having trouble with it after you've discussed this notation, go back to the concrete, get out some coins. Can you count it out? Can you show me by holding it? Then you can take them to pictures, draw it out. Then they can look at a problem like this and begin to tackle it. Because when we go to tackle this problem, you might need something like this, like a trigger, to have them think about what would make the one. Because you are laying, like I said, the foundations for decimals. You have to check and make sure they understand this place value piece. Third graders, we're counting on you in the fourth grade, in the fifth grade, on up, to lay this foundation for understanding, to know what the 0.3 means, to understand what this 1 is. So if they have trouble, go back to the concrete, have them get those coins out for you, then the pictures, then the abstract. Because remember, at the end of the day, you are planting the seeds for who they believe they are as a learner. And so we have to continue to take into consideration how they're feeling, to discuss it, to scaffold for their success, because in the end, you're growing a plant of what they believe about themselves. Take care of yourself so you can get up and teach.